Can you stand and please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
And what is it that you would like to tell the grand jury today?
I would like to speak on behalf of what happened to my son. He was also a victim of police brutality. 2013, which is 2 years now almost. I did today bring some evidence with me today that because it's public records. Today with me, I have copies of our witness statements, my son's death certificate, because it proves that Cary was murdered, because his death certificate actually says homicide due to gunshot wounds in the chest and abdomen. It does not say justified. And I also have his autopsy report because it speaks and shows how Cary was shot while laying on the ground. And I have his original hospital paper from the time the EMT picked him up from the site that shows how they found Cary, and it shows how the hospital wrote down how many gun wounds was in Cary and how they did not use Cary's name. They called him Trauma Hawaii, and it shows also proof that I lived 2 blocks away from the hospital and I never was contacted. On the night that this happened to Cary, which was April 24th, 2013, approximately about like 9:27 that night, Cary was shot after surrendering to 2 St. Louis police officers, Jason Chambers and Timothy Boyce. Witnesses say that Cary did have a gun, but he never pointed it at the police officers, that he threw the gun on the ground and his hands was in the air. The reason that this didn't go as national as this is because our witnesses were so traumatized that night, and it happened so fast that they thought Cary was finna get arrested instead of gunned down. So the witnesses had spoke so in depth on what had happened to Cary, even with our 911 calls. The 911 calls is like one lady is on there saying, "Oh my God, they are killing this man, and he threw the gun down." And that right there alone, I thought that the police officers would go to jail. And also the chief of police did send Cary's case to the FBI, but the FBI gave us back a 6-page review. They never did an investigation. They never questioned our witnesses. And we did a petition signing for Jennifer Joyce to arrest the police officers for shooting Cary in his back. That's what we thought at first from the hospital papers, because they thought that several of those wounds was out of his back, but as we learned later, those were entry and exit wounds. So he wasn't shot a total of 25 times, even though the hospital papers will say 25 wounds. He was shot a total of 21 times, and those are exit and entry wounds. So this has been a hard battle, and the reason I'm here today is because I do want somebody to look at Cary's paperwork, and I do want an outside opinion, and I do want some more help, because I want a criminal charge against those police officers, because to me that was cold-blooded murder that night. They didn't have to shoot an animal that many times after surrender. They even shot in a house that night. Number 28 and 29 of the gun shell casings is in somebody's home, and they want to say that Cary was driving erratically that night. Well, I feel like the police officers was shooting erratically that night. That was a lot of shots being fired for an unarmed man. And when they perimeter off the crime scene, basically what they was doing that night was blocking the people in. That's why it didn't get out. They couldn't get to the news. But like our witnesses said, if they would have been thinking, but they in shock, they would have went back in their homes and out their back door and went around and talked with the news. But they wasn't thinking, because like they said, they was in shock, and that is true. And they hid Cary from me. He was murdered, like I said, that Wednesday evening about 9-something. I did not find out until that Thursday morning, about 11:15. At about 6-something that morning, Cary's sister called his brother and said, "Have you talked to Cary?" It looked like this is Cary Call on the news, and they say 25-year-old male involved in a police shooting. So they called me. I turned on the news. I seen the car. I knew that was Cary's car. So what I did is I called the police station. I said, how do you go about finding out if whether or not that's your loved one in that police-involved shooting? They connected me to homicide. I talked with a Detective Bremen. This is about like 7:15 that morning now. He say, ma'am, I just came to work. I can't really say what happened from last night. Give me 10 minutes. Let me get the paperwork, and I'll call you right back. So he took my information. He did call me right back in less than 10 minutes. And he told me that he still didn't have any information to tell me, but if I was going to come down there to call them first so they could make preparations. So that already made me feel like that's my child. Because why would you say something like that to me? So what I did is I started calling family members, and I told them what I believe had happened. By 8 o'clock that morning, we was all there. It was probably 12 of us at that point there. And Detective Bremen came downstairs, and you could see the remorse all over his face. You could see because they had riddled Cary's body. And you could tell that he did not want to tell us that. And he said, well, you know, it's so early. He said, I still don't have any paperwork from last night. He was like, but just give me 2 hours. He was like, we can run some type of distinctive marks, and, you know, talking about Cary's tattoos, you could tell that. And he was like, just give me 2 hours. So we left. We went to the Hardee's in the downtown area. We talked. More family members met with us. So by this time we go back, it's probably 20 or so more of us. Nobody came downstairs. It's 10 o'clock now. Nobody came downstairs. It's 10:30. Nobody comes downstairs. So I get a text message from a friend about like 10:35. They say, call the morgue. The morgue has no choice but to tell you who they have in the morgue. I called the morgue. The morgue tells me that they're getting away from letting you physically identify your loved one, that they can give me a tentative description. So I asked, what was a tentative description? She said, ma'am, I can call off your child's name, social security number, and date of birth, and you can answer. So she did that. I answered. She immediately asked me if I had a funeral home. Well, of course not. It's like 11:15. No, I'm just finding out that this is my child. So no, I don't have a funeral home. So I didn't feel like I wanted to be there no more. So we immediately left. So we goes back. We at my daughter's house. So of course this is Thursday. Everybody, we getting Cary funeral arrangement, but that Friday, everybody split out. Everybody go somewhere different. We go find a young man. One people go find the young man that was in the car with Cary that night, because Cary was dropping his coworker off from work. I can't remember exactly what all I was doing, but my nephew, he didn't really been smart, because I didn't even think of this or nothing, but he is the one who actually went to the hospital and asked for Cary's medical report. That was so smart. But when he was there, the hospital told him that it had to be the parents. So like I said, we was all scattered everywhere, so everybody is doing their own tasks. We find this stuff out on our own on this Friday. We collect this information. We get to that, well, the hospital said it got to be a parent, so I get there first. The hospital was finna give me Cary's medical records until the phone rung. The lady gets off the phone with me, and she says, ma'am, I would need Cary's birth certificate. So I tell some of the family members that's there with me, y'all stay here. Me and some more family members leave. Now, I literally lived at that moment 2 blocks away from St. Louis University Hospital, which is on Vista. I lived on Blaine, in the same 100 block. They could have literally, that night they murdered Cary, they could have walked to my house. They didn't even have to drive. They could have walked. They could have did, we leave, we go get the birth certificate, we come back. That's the only way I can get Cary's medical records. In that medical records, it talk of all of these wounds. They call my child Trauma Hawaii. Cary had 5 different forms of identification on him that night in his wallet. He had his college ID. He had his college credit card, he had his EBT card, he had his driver's license, and he had his Social Security card. His car was registered that night. He had insurance, and they still called my child Trauma Hawaii. They were going to try to hide my child from me. I don't care what nobody say. That's just the way I feel. You don't murder nobody and shoot them that many times and then expect for them to think that they parent is, going to think that they disappeared off the face of the earth. So like I said, when we got that paper, whew, that really devastated my family. Because we like, what in the world did they do to him? Because they didn't never let us see him. So we looking and reading this paper and we seeing 25 wounds and in and out of her and things. And we don't know what to do with that. So we found all this stuff out on our own. And the police never got back in touch with us until Cary's funeral. And you know what they called to tell us? We can come and get Cary property.
And you said that, Mom, you said that you have a copy of the death certificate?
Yes, I do.
Yes. Is it possible that we can show a copy of it to the members of the grand jury, please? And how old was your son, Mom?
25 years old. He had been involved in one particular incident in his life. He was 17 years old at the time. We was living in Florida. And I really feel like they racial profiled Cary that night because when I did sit down and speak with the chief of police and everybody, and his lieutenant and the colonel, they told me, I asked what was the initial reason for stopping Cary that night. They told me tinted windows.
Can you repeat that? What did they say?
They said tinted windows.
And,
he never had committed a crime that night. We later found out that's the no chase policy.
And I heard that you said that your son had a college card. Was he attending university?
He was attending St. Louis, Forest Park, St. Louis Community College. He had a 3.86 GPA. Actually, the day of Cary's funeral, me and my daughter were supposed to be at his Emerging Scholars Award ceremony. He had made Dean's List within the first couple of months of him coming home from prison. Immediately after Cary came home from prison, May of 2012, by June, he was already registered in school and working a full-time job. He was really a young man that had changed. He only had been in trouble that one time, that 17, and he wasn't doing nothing that night.
Did your son leave any dependents behind, like children?
No, he didn't have any children.
From your knowledge and experience, Mom, the incident that would have happened to your son, do you think that that's an unusual incident in this community?
From the amount of bullets, I do. From the stops, no, because I do know that the police harass young men. Because like my one son has even said, it can be a carload, it could be 4 white guys in a car with all red on. And they can say, ooh, that's a Cardinals fan. They Cardinal fans. But it could be 4 black guys in a car with all red on, and they bloods.
And you would have said that the only thing that came out of this is the FBI prepared a 6-page report?
A 6-page report. And as you just seen, that stack of paperwork that I handed out to the grand jury, just the witness statements alone is 1 through 72. So, like I said, that's only the witness statement, the hospital paper, the death certificate, in the autopsy report. That's not including the whole stack, my entire police report, and then it's another stack of, and I get a 6-page review from the FBI. I'm reading books on what y'all did to my son that night, and y'all give me a 6-page review.
And you said that no legal action is being taken against the police in this matter.
Not in this matter. Jennifer Joyce has failed to prosecute these 2 police officers.
Is there anything else that you would like to tell the grand jury before you conclude?
I'm here because I'm hoping that some type of way this can help with another family, or if I can get some type of help with a criminal attorney, because I would really love to see those police officers behind bars. And just the fact of the way that they doing us here in the city of St. Louis, city and county, with the way that they taking our children and hiding them from us, because just as well as this, they hid Cary from me, Antonio Johnson, they hid him from his wife until he died in the hospital, and then they contacted her. I found out from Von Dirk Meyer's mom that they held her son from her for 2 weeks, and then I found it with Mike, and they killing our children, and then they hiding them from us. They killing our loved ones, and then they thinking that we supposed to think they disappeared. Something has to happen with that. I don't have no understanding for that.
Okay. Thank you very much for your testimony, Mom. Is there any questions from the prosecutors and the grand jury?
Yes. Testing. Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay. First of all, Ms. Teller, I want to again extend my deepest sympathy, as well as to my good friend Cary, brother Colin. Okay, the father. My question, the witnesses that came out the night of the shooting.
Yes.
How many were there?
Well, with ours that we have as a total that agreed to help with our case is 10, and then the police officers themselves have 6. So that's 16 right there that we know of in all total.
So you have 10 people who state firmly that your son had threw away the gun and had his hands up in the air. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You saying that the police officers had some witnesses contradicting?
No, they all agree. They all agree. They have 6 of their own that still agree that Cary never, that wanted to agree, wanted to help, didn't mind standing out to the police. Like our witnesses is scared. They don't want to talk to the police. Like they are standing firmly with what they say, because one witness, we feel like she wasn't even interviewed. She was interrogated basically, because they put 3 police officers on her at one time, and at one point, they're reading, they're going to even ask her to pretend to be Cary. They're going to make her mock it out.
Okay, but just for total clarity's sake then.
Nobody agreed with the police officers at all.
Okay then, so you got witnesses. Let me ask you a question which bothered me, because I was one of the people who supported and helped get the message out about the murder of your son.
Yes.
During the height of it, after we had started mobilizing, we were asked to stop demonstrating.
Right.
Can you explain why that you asked us to do that?
Well, at the time, it was under my attorney's request, and later that I didn't found out, in my own opinion, I probably should have followed my own opinion on that one.
Oh, it's because the attorney had asked you to ask us not to pursue. Right. Okay. And now you feel that that was an incorrect decision.
Yes.
Okay. Okay then. Well, that's all I have to ask.
Okay.
Is there any other?
I'd like to ask you, do you feel like that your son was a victim of racial profiling?
Yes.
So your son was in college, Then Derek was in school. Michael Brown was in school. All these young men were educated young men who hadn't really committed any serious crimes, and they are dead because of racial profiling. Do you believe that?
I really believe that, especially when they told me tinted windows.
I mean, right, because tinted windows or...
It's not a crime.
Exactly. It's not a serious
It's
crime.
not a serious crime.
All right.
I'm extremely sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
both of y'all. Do you know the status of the two police officers? Do they still work with the city?
Yes, and even one of them was promoted to SWAT.
Oh, wow. Thank you. What were their names again?
Jason Chambers and Timothy Boyce.
I'm sorry for your loss as
Thank
well.
you. Thank
But I just was looking at the information you gave us. They named him as Hawaii, but they got your address and
Yes.
his social, everything's
Yes.
on there,
I
but
told
they didn't
you.
have his name.
Right.
So that's a question.
Yes.
And also, another question I wanted to ask you, how long did he lay there? I haven't...
Well, the witnesses said, he made it to, was listening from the 911 tapes, it wasn't long because the first call came in, they said 9:37. So when you read that, by 10, he's already at the hospital because he's pronounced dead by that time by the chaplain.
Okay.
So about 9:45, so they moved him pretty fast.
Okay.
You do hear the EMT on the 911 tapes asking to leave. They keep asking, can they leave the scene?
Mother, my heart goes out to you and your family.
Thank you.
This question is just leading to something else, but I understand by reading this examination that his body was well developed,
Yes.
well-nourished black male. As we know, there's always been organ trafficking of black males to black children. Was your son an organ donor?
Yes, he was, ma'am, and I was hoping that wasn't what you was leading to because when I was protesting, that was something I would always scream out because I was shocked when I seen that he was an organ donor because I'm an organ donor and I didn't think that any of my kids would want to be an organ donor. That's, that's really selfless and that's a brave move, so I was happy to see that about him.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sister Mitchell, Sister Mitchell, Sister Taylor, I'm sorry, Michelle Taylor.
Thank you.
I just want to join everybody in extending just the most sincere condolences. And I'm tired of it, of having to do this over and over again to family members of victims of this terror that we have to live with on a regular basis. But there's something else that you mentioned that I think is really important as well. And there's this tendency of lawyers who call themselves officers of the court, which means that they are recognizing themselves as part of the state itself.
Yes.
And in every instance, it didn't just happen in your case, we've seen it happen recently in this city.
Right.
When we hear somebody come out and they say, or in this county, that the family members don't want this, that's the lawyers who are talking,
For them.
and they want to keep protests from happening. And I think it's very disturbing, and most of the family members don't have a reason for being in touch with lawyers on these conditions, and so it's a new experience, and the lawyers, put themselves forward as people who know the system, who has all, who have all this knowledge, etc.
And you're so emotional at that time, you believe. What you believe.
And I think it's extremely important for you to be here to share with us what happened to your child and to help, I think, make the case for these prosecutors, that there is a
trend, a tendency here that's not peculiar to what happened on August 9th, 2014.
No.
Happened before. It's happened since then.
Yes.
And I also think it's extremely important that you're here. I wish you had been able at the time to participate in the demonstrations, the mobilizations. I think for one thing, more people would be aware of what happened to your child.
Yes.
And it wouldn't be something that they were sort of able to sweep under the rug.
Right.
Nobody will ever forget Mike Brown.
Right.
Because of the demonstrations and the protests that the people took on.
That's right.
Lawyers didn't take it on, the people, did that. And I think it's really important that you've come here and that you've said, the kind of advice that you got that really was against your best interest, because black people in this country ain't got nothing without having to protest and demonstrate and fight every inch of the way forward. I thank you for your courage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further?
You don't still have that lawyer, do you?
Well, he's still my civil, so yeah.
You have another question?
I just like to say, Tony, sorry for the
Thank
family.
you.
And I just wanted to kind of led to what I was going to ask you. Were you able to still pursue civil matters, at least with this case?
Yeah, we still is pursuing the civil matter. Enlightened to what happened to Kajeen Powell and Von Derek Myers, I really believe that now they probably finna try to stall all three families. Like we're just changing the dates because we didn't have 3 different trial dates and none of them have took place.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
Yes.
Once again, sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you know if your baby's organs went to save anyone's life?
They wasn't, ma'am, it wasn't nothing left.
I didn't extend my condolences, but I'm sorry for your loss also.
Thank
But
you.
I wanted to know what kind of pressure is it for us financing, for us getting a lawyer? Because to me, we have people that's incarcerated that's been in the struggle, protesters been in the struggle that's incarcerated, and then you have young African-American males getting killed all the time. And it seems like it stalls because of the finance. We can't never get, maybe I'm speaking because I'm not a lawyer, and I know lawyers are busy and they get paid too.
Right.
But I just feel that, we as African Americans need to come together and create some kind of fund or something for people like yourself who can't afford a lawyer. And has anybody came up and offered their services or, volunteered?
No, not free of charge, no. But they have offered their services. And that's why I'm here today, because I'm like, if maybe I carry evidence with everyone that, you can see for yourself and won't just listen to what I have to say. You actually reading it in black and white, because all of that was issued to me from the chief of police. Everything that I just shared with you all, everything that I have came from the chief of police. I'm getting it from him, straight out of his hands.
Okay, thank you.
Any other further questions?
The FBI report isn't in there, correct?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nothing. It's nothing but them that they questioned the police officers. Like I said, it's only 6 pages. The first page is just like, yeah, right. Nothing. It's nothing. It just say too many conflicting statements is the reason why they don't. But of course, if you got 10 witnesses, none of them say that Cary pointed the gun, though.
If there are no further questions, Mom, you're free to leave. Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to call to the stand Cary Ball, Sr.